My friend's wife demanded a favor, but I exposed her hidden motives. Before we begin the story, make sure to subscribe to our channel and never miss more incredible stories every day. Elena picked a table where the afternoon sun made everyone look softer than they were. She waved me over with a smile that had too much choreography in it, like a dancer hitting marks no one else could see. "Mark's at the gym," she said before I Saturday. "I needed to ask you something privately." Mark is my best friend. Best man at his wedding, late-night pizza, hospital runs, the whole biography. Hearing privately from his wife made my stomach stumble. She slid a manila envelope across the table. Two things. First, a small courier mix-up. "Can a package come to your address? I'm planning something for Mark, and I don't want him snooping." The way she said planning sounded like she was reading it off a cue card. "And second," I asked. Her smile tightened. "If anyone asks, if Mark asks, just say I was with you Tuesday night. We grabbed ramen, talked about work. You know how he gets when he overthinks." I laughed, because that's what you do when the floor tilts. "We didn't grab ramen Tuesday." She tilted her head. "We will have," she said, like a threat wrapped in a future tense. "You're his friend. Help me keep a nice surprise a surprise." My mouth went dry. Loyalty is easy until it costs you something. "I'll accept the package," I said. "I won't lie to Mark." Something cold flashed behind her eyes and was gone. "Of course," she said smoothly, standing. "You're such a good friend." She left before the coffee arrived. I brought the envelope home and told myself I wouldn't touch it. At 9:17 p.m., the buzzer screamed. "Courier for Elena," a voice said. I signed. Box, no return label. I set it beside the manila, every nerve shouting don't. At 10:02, my phone pinged. "Bank credit $1,000. Thank you." My name in the memo line. I stared until the numbers doubled. I cracked the manila. Inside, a cheap phone, 2 SIMs, and a handwritten note in looping blue ink. "Call me at 11:55 and say I'm with you. Use this phone. Do not text." Beneath it, a printed email draft addressed to HR with my name in the body, half-finished allegations like scaffolding around a building not yet constructed. The burner lit up in my hand, vibrating once. A new message flashed. "Delete everything. He's coming to you now." 3 knocks hit my door like a verdict. "Hey," Mark called through the wood. "Quick question. Were you with Elena on Tuesday night?" My throat closed. 3 simple knocks, 1 simple question, and suddenly my apartment felt like a courtroom. I shoved the manila envelope under the couch with my foot and forced my voice to sound casual. "Tuesday?" My tongue stuck to the roof of my mouth. I pictured Elena's neat handwriting, her blue-inked command. "Use this phone. Say I was with you." I opened the door. Mark stood there in sweats, damp hair plastered to his forehead from the gym, a water bottle swinging at his side. His expression was open, but wary, the kind of look you wear when you already suspect the answer. "Were you with her?" he repeated, eyes searching mine. I should have said no. I should have ripped the bandage clean. But the $1,000 deposit in my bank account, the burner phone glowing faintly under the couch, the way Elena had leaned in with that predator's smile, it all pressed against me. "She said she was meeting you," Mark continued, filling the silence I left. "But I checked her GPS." He stopped himself, shaking his head. "Never mind. I wanted to confirm." I swallowed. My pulse felt like a drum under my skin. "We grabbed ramen," I heard myself say. The lie scraped my throat raw. It was late. You know how she is about spicy broth. His shoulders slumped, relief loosening his frame. "Yeah, that tracks." He half smiled, but it didn't touch his eyes. "Sorry, man. I guess I'm overthinking again." I wanted to grab him, shake him, tell him everything. Instead, I let him leave with a wave and a hollow promise to catch up this weekend. When the door shut, I collapsed against it, bile rising in my throat. The burner phone buzzed again. 1 word lit the screen. "Perfect." I hurled it across the room. The casing split, battery skittering under the radiator. But when I picked it up, trembling, a second message had already appeared, time-stamped while Mark was standing in my doorway. "Good. Next time, you'll do more than cover. Or we both burn." The apartment spun around me. This wasn't just a favor. It was blackmail, staged step by step. And I realized Elena hadn't picked me because I was Mark's closest friend. She'd picked me because she already knew how to use me as her shield. The question wasn't if she'd tighten the noose. It was when. I didn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Mark's face, grateful, relieved, betrayed without even knowing it. My phone glowed from the coffee table, the $1,000 deposit taunting me like blood money. I wanted to transfer it back, scream at Elena to leave me alone, but some primal part of me knew she'd planned this too well. Any move I made would just prove I was in her pocket. By morning, the burner phone was still dead, battery cracked. I left it that way, stuffed in a drawer I never use. But before noon, my personal phone buzzed. Unknown number again. Package safe? Keep it untouched. New instructions soon. I wanted to throw up. I hadn't even opened the box she'd had delivered, the one with no return address. It sat in my living room like a landmine. At lunch, I met Jules, our mutual friend who's known Mark since college. We grabbed sandwiches near her office, trying to talk about work, the weather, anything normal. But she kept giving me that side eye, the one people give when they're about to ask something dangerous. Finally, she leaned across the table. Did Elena ask you for anything weird? I froze, half a sandwich in my hand. Why? She asked me to say she was with me Wednesday. Said she was shopping for Mark's birthday, didn't want him to know. Jules' eyes narrowed. But his birthday's in September, and she insisted I delete the text right after. My stomach dropped. Same playbook, different alibi. She wasn't just using me. She was building a net, weaving lies across multiple people so if Mark questioned, every road led to proof. I wiped my palms on my jeans. Did you lie for her? Jules shook her head. Not yet. I told her I'd think about it. She leaned closer, her voice barely above a whisper. Mark deserves better than this. We both know it. When I got home, the package was gone. Just an empty square on the carpet where it had sat all night. I checked the locks, the windows, no signs of break-in. My chest constricted. At 8:03 p.m., my phone buzzed again. Good boy. You'll see why soon. I dropped the phone, hands shaking. She'd been in my apartment, and she hadn't needed to break in, which meant one horrifying thing. Elena had a key. I tore through the drawers until I found my spare set, my keys, the extras I kept hidden in a coffee tin behind the cleaning supplies. Gone. The tin was there, but the keys weren't. My chest locked tight. Elena hadn't just gotten lucky. She'd planned this. She knew where I hid them, which meant either she'd been in here before, or worse. Mark had trusted her with my spares once, back when she still wore the mask of a devoted wife. The realization curdled in my stomach. She could walk into my apartment whenever she wanted. Watch me sleep. Leave things. Take things. At midnight, the messages came again. Tomorrow, noon. Say I was with you from 2 to 4. Same story. Same loyalty. Don't fail. I slammed the phone down, but another text came before the screen dimmed. Remember, I reward obedience. Another credit hit my account, this time $2,500. I didn't touch it. The money wasn't payment. It was evidence. Bait. She was making it look like I was profiting, complicit. The next morning, Mark showed up again. He was restless, tugging at his hoodie string, pacing in my doorway. She's been different lately, he said. Weird hours. Snapping at little things. But whenever I ask, she says, ask your friend. I was with him. The lie I'd already told hung between us like a noose. You believe her? I asked carefully. Mark sighed. I don't know. I want to. But I feel like I'm chasing shadows. He looked at me with those tired eyes, the ones that once trusted me with every secret. You'd tell me if something was off, right? I opened my mouth, and then my phone buzzed on the counter. A preview flashed across the screen. Say nothing, or we show him the transfers. Mark's gaze followed mine. He frowned. Who keeps blowing up your phone? I grabbed it before he could. Work, I lied. The word burned. He left with a hug that felt heavier than any fight we'd ever had. When the door shut, I collapsed on the couch, rage boiling through me. She was turning me into her accomplice, brick by brick. If I broke, I lost Mark. If I stayed quiet, I lost myself. That's when my email pinged. An attachment. No sender. It was a photo, grainy, night vision green. Elena, standing in my apartment while I slept on the couch, her hand resting on the package I'd hidden, and scrawled across the bottom in red digital ink. Next time, you won't be sleeping. I stared at the screen until my vision blurred, my pulse thundering in my ears. Elena's face, caught in eerie green glow, was tilted just enough to suggest she knew she was being photographed. Her smile in that frame wasn't joy, it was ownership. She wanted me to know she'd been here. She wanted me to feel hunted. I forwarded the email to a private account, one Mark didn't know existed, and then deleted it from my inbox. I thought about going to the police, but what could I show them? A doctored-looking photo, a bank account with suspicious deposits, and my own words admitting I'd lied to cover for her. I'd be painted as the guilty one. That night, I barely blinked. Every creak in the building set me on edge. Around 3 a.m., I grabbed a baseball bat and sat on the couch facing the door, eyes raw from staring at it. By dawn, I was wrecked. I dragged myself to the cafe where Jules worked, the only person I trusted enough to confess to. I told her everything. The package, the burner phone, the money, even the lie I'd told Mark. Her face tightened with every word. "She's building a case," Jules whispered. "Think about it. Alibis, money trails, surveillance. She's setting you up so when it blows, you look like the villain." The thought hollowed me out. But why me? Because you're closest to Mark. If you fall, he falls harder. She gets whatever she's after, money, freedom, leverage, and leaves scorched earth behind. I wanted to deny it, to protect the illusion that Mark hadn't married a viper, but the pieces fit too neatly. As I left the cafe, a man in a gray hoodie brushed past me, slipping something into my pocket so smoothly I barely felt it. My blood ran cold. Outside, with shaking fingers, I pulled it out. A folded note. "You're not the first she's done this to. Check storage unit 19B, East Side lockers. Tonight. Come alone." My phone buzzed right after. Elena again. "No mistakes today. 2 to 4. Same story. Or Mark learns everything." I crushed the note in my fist, heart pounding. Because suddenly I wasn't just caught between lies and loyalty. I was standing on the edge of something bigger, something Elena had done before. And if that storage unit was real, I might finally have proof. The East Side lockers sat on the edge of town, a row of corrugated steel doors painted a tired shade of blue. The place smelled of rust, oil, and secrets. I checked twice to make sure no one had followed me. The note in my pocket crinkled like a heartbeat. Unit 19B was halfway down the row. Its lock was already snapped, hanging loose like a tooth knocked from a jaw. Someone had opened it for me, or wanted me to think so. I rolled the door up. The hinges groaned. Inside was dim, dust thick in the air, the faint hum of a dying fluorescent bulb overhead. Boxes stacked against the walls, some marked with numbers, some with names I didn't recognize. A folding table sat in the middle, papers scattered across it. I lifted one page. Bank statements, multiple accounts, all in different names, but the transfers followed the same pattern. Money flowing out, then back in, disguised as consulting fees, reimbursements, favors. The amounts mirrored the deposits that had landed in my account. My stomach turned. She wasn't just blackmailing me. She'd done this to others. Another folder held signed affidavits, half finished, some crossed out in red pen. Stories of harassment, embezzlement, infidelity, all pointing fingers at people I didn't know. Fabricated scandals, ready to be deployed. And then I saw it, a photo. Mark, smiling at a barbecue, beer in hand. On the back, scribbled in Elena's handwriting, "Asset. Controlled via proxy." Proxy. That was me. The air felt suddenly thin, the walls too close. I shoved the photo into my pocket, along with a handful of papers. My hands shook as I zipped the folder. A voice drifted from behind me, calm and low. "You shouldn't be here." I spun, papers clutched to my chest. A man stood in the doorway, the same gray hoodie from earlier, hood pulled low. His stance wasn't threatening, but his presence filled the unit like smoke. "You left the note?" I said. He nodded once. "She ruined me the same way she's ruining you. Different lies, same playbook." "Why warn me?" His jaw tightened. "Because you're still in the middle." I was too late. By the time I fought back, I was already the villain in everyone else's story. You still have a chance to flip it before she closes the trap. I stepped closer. "Then help me expose her." He glanced over his shoulder, nervous. "I can't. Not directly. She has eyes everywhere." He pressed a small USB drive into my palm. Everything I collected before she burned me. Emails. Recordings. Enough to crack her facade. Then he backed away, pulling his hood lower. "But be careful. Once she knows you're looking, she doesn't just ruin reputations. She destroys lives." Before I could ask another question, he melted into the night, leaving me alone with the papers, the USB, and the bone-deep certainty that Elena's web stretched further than I'd imagined. When I got home, a text from her was already waiting. "Tomorrow, dinner with Mark. He'll ask again. Don't disappoint me." Attached was a photo of me in the storage unit, papers in my hand. She already knew. By the time I pulled into my apartment complex, my nerves were shredded raw. Elena's text still glowed on my screen, the photo of me inside the storage unit attached like a knife at my throat. She didn't just know. I realized with a jolt. She wanted me to know she was watching. Every move I made was another thread she could pull. Sleep was a stranger that night. I lay on the couch, staring at the ceiling, rehearsing answers I might give Mark when he inevitably asked again. Every version of the conversation ended the same way. I lost him. Either I lied again and dug the hole deeper, or I told the truth and detonated our friendship. By morning, my phone buzzed with another credit notification. Plus $5,000 memo, loyalty. My chest twisted. She wasn't paying me. She was branding me, building a trail of evidence that tied me to her schemes. At 7 p.m., I found myself outside Mark and Elena's house, a bottle of wine sweating in my grip. The place looked normal, porch light glowing, TV flickering through the curtains, but stepping inside felt like walking onto a stage where the script had already been written. Mark greeted me with a tired smile. "Glad you could make it, man." He clapped me on the shoulder, but his eyes flickered with something heavier. Doubt. Elena appeared from the kitchen, apron on, her hair pinned neatly. She kissed Mark's cheek, then gave me a look that lasted one beat too long. A look that said, "Remember the role you're playing." Dinner was awkward in that way where every word is weighed. Mark tried to keep conversation light, work gossip, sports, but the silence between us stretched tight as piano wire. Halfway through, he set his fork down. "So Tuesday, you said you and Elena got ramen?" The air froze. Elena's gaze burned into me, daring me to falter. I forced a nod. "Yeah, after work. She wanted to talk about some gift idea for you." Mark studied me like he could see through my skin. "Funny, because Jules told me Elena asked her to cover Wednesday night too." His voice hardened. "That makes 2 nights she's got alibis lined up." Elena let out a sharp laugh, too loud for the room. "Oh, Mark, you're overanalyzing again. I wanted your birthday to be special. Maybe I asked for help twice. Is that such a crime?" He turned back to me. "Is she telling the truth? Or are you both just humoring me?" I opened my mouth, heart pounding, the USB in my pocket like a burning coal. My loyalty to Mark screamed one thing. Elena's grip on my life screamed another. Before I could speak, Elena's phone buzzed on the table. A notification lit the screen, an email preview. Subject: Eastside Lockers/confidential. From unknown. Mark's brow furrowed. He reached for the phone. Elena snatched it first, her smile cracking. My blood ran cold. The walls of her scheme were beginning to splinter. And I realized that for the first time, she wasn't entirely in control. Elena's fingers clutched her phone so tightly her knuckles whitened. Mark's hand froze halfway across the table, his face darkening with suspicion. The email preview still burned in my head. Eastside Lockers/confidential. Mark's voice was sharp now, stripped of warmth. "What's that?" Elena slipped the phone into her apron pocket, smiling as if she could smooth the edges with charm. "Work nonsense. You know how vendors are, always sending last-minute updates." But Mark didn't look convinced. He pushed back from the table, chair legs screeching against the floor. "Let me see it." Her laugh cracked like glass. "Mark, please. Not everything's a conspiracy." She reached for his arm, but he pulled back. For a split second, her mask slipped, and I saw it, the cold fury in her eyes, the calculation grinding behind her practiced smile. Then she smoothed it away and stood. "Fine. If you don't trust me, maybe you should check his phone." She pointed at me. My stomach dropped. Mark turned, confused. "Why?" Elena's lips curved, venom disguised as silk. "Because he's been acting strange. He gets packages for me, texts me at odd hours. Maybe your best friend isn't as innocent as you think." It was a masterstroke, turning the spotlight off herself and onto me. And damn it, she had the receipts, the deposits in my account, the package, the burner phone. Mark's gaze cut into me, sharp and searching. "Is that true? Are you hiding something?" Every instinct screamed to tell him everything right there, to rip open the truth before Elena could twist it further. But my voice caught, strangled by fear. If I accused her without proof, she'd bury me faster than I could blink. I began, but Elena's phone buzzed again. Another notification lit her screen where it jutted from her apron pocket. Mark moved faster this time, snatching it before she could react. She gasped, too late. The screen showed the email chain in full. Anonymous sender. Subject line, evidence. Attached files, scans of the forged bank statements, timestamps of my supposed transfers, even photos of me with the package in my apartment. But buried among them was something she hadn't meant for him to see. Recordings. Audio clips. Elena's voice, unmistakable, instructing someone how to falsify timestamps. Mark's face drained of color. He scrolled, jaw tightening with each second. Elena lunged, but he shoved her back. What the hell is this? His voice cracked like a whip, raw with betrayal. I sat frozen, the room spinning. For the first time, it wasn't just me who saw her mask slip. And Elena knew it too. Her smile vanished, leaving only the predator underneath. She straightened, eyes glittering. So, she said softly, I guess it's time we stop pretending. She reached into her pocket and pulled out the same burner phone she'd given me. It buzzed to life in her hand, and my number flashed on the screen. She hit play, and my own voice filled the room. A recording I never made. My own voice echoed through the dining room, flat and damning. Yeah, I'll take the money. Elena knows I'll keep the story straight. Mark's never going to find out. The blood drained from my face. It was flawless, my cadence, my tone, even the nervous laugh I sometimes gave when talking too fast. If I hadn't known it was fake, I would have believed it myself. Mark froze, his knuckles whitening around the phone. That's you, he whispered, disbelief cutting deeper than anger. No, I said, my voice cracking. It's not me. She manufactured this. I pointed at Elena, whose lips curled into a predator's smile. That's what she does, builds evidence, fabricates lies, and plants them where they'll hurt most. Elena tilted her head, her calmness terrifying. Oh, come on. Do you really think your best friend will believe that? Deepfakes, edited clips, you're not clever enough to pull that excuse. Mark's eyes flicked between us, confusion tearing him in two. Both of you stop. His voice cracked under the weight of it. I slammed my hand against the table, desperate. Mark, listen. I have proof. She's done this before. I found files in a storage unit, affidavits, forged bank trails. She's running the same playbook she used on others. You're just her next project. His gaze hardened, but not at me. At Elena. Storage unit. For the first time, her mask slipped fully. Her smile curdled into a snarl. You went there, she spat. You think you can outplay me? Her hand shot out, snatching the phone back from him. In one fluid motion, she hurled it against the wall. The screen exploded in a spray of glass. Mark recoiled. Elena, what the hell? Enough, she hissed, eyes blazing. You want to choose him? Fine. But understand, he's already compromised. And if you side with him, you'll burn too. Silence hung heavy, broken only by the sound of glass crackling on the hardwood. Mark's breath came ragged, like he'd just run a marathon. He looked at me, then at her, then back at me. If what he says is true, he said slowly, then prove it. Show me the files. Show me everything. Elena's face tightened, the tiniest twitch of panic in her jaw. I reached into my jacket pocket, fingers closing around the USB drive the man in the hoodie had given me. This, I said, lifting it into the light, is everything. Elena's eyes went wide, then narrowed, calculating. And with a sudden, sharp movement, she grabbed the carving knife off the counter. Then I can't let you show him. The air in the dining room was heavy, thick with the metallic tang of tension. Elena gripped the carving knife so tightly her knuckles whitened, eyes darting between me and Mark. Put it down, Mark said, voice trembling but firm. He stepped halfway between us, palms raised. You're not helping yourself. Her laugh was sharp, brittle. Helping myself? I've carried this marriage, carried you. And now both of you act like I'm the villain? She jabbed the blade toward me, has been undermining us for weeks. Taking my money, hiding things. And you, her glare sliced into Mark, never appreciated what I sacrificed. My throat was dry. She's lying, Mark. That drive. I raised the USB in my hand. It has proof of everything she's done. Elena's lip curled. You think that trinket saves you? I planted half of what's on there. When they look, it'll point to you as the mastermind. Mark's face went pale. So what? You admit you've been manipulating us. Elena's expression shifted, almost serene. I admit nothing. I control the narrative. That's what you never understood, Mark. It doesn't matter what's true, only what people believe. She took a step forward, knife catching the light. I backed up, heart pounding, every instinct screaming. Mark moved to block her path, but she shoved him aside with a force that shocked us both. You'll give me the drive, she hissed at me, or I swear, this ends with blood. Before I could answer, a pounding rattled the front door. A deep voice shouted, "Police, open up." Elena froze, her eyes narrowing. Then, in one smooth motion, she pressed the knife into her own palm, slicing just enough to draw blood. She gasped, face twisting into rehearsed terror. "Perfect timing," she whispered. And then she screamed so loud the walls shook. "Help! He's attacking me!" The pounding on the door rattled the whole frame. Elena's scream still hung in the air, shrill and rehearsed, and I knew exactly how this would look when the officers came through, her bleeding hand, me standing there with a USB drive like stolen evidence, Mark caught in the crossfire. Mark's eyes went wide, his voice breaking. "Elena, what the hell did you do?" She clutched her palm dramatically, blood dripping onto the floor. "What he did, you mean? He tried to hurt me, Mark. He's been unstable for weeks." I stepped forward, desperation tearing through me. "Mark, you know me. You know me. She's setting this up." The pounding grew louder. "Police, we're coming in." Elena's smile twitched beneath the mask of terror she wore for Mark. "Perfect timing," she whispered, "just for me." Mark stood frozen between us, his face twisted with panic. Then, without a word, he turned to the door and unlocked it. Two officers stormed in, hands near their holsters, eyes darting from Elena's bloody palm to me. Everyone stepped back. "What's going on here?" Elena's performance was instant. She staggered toward them, voice quivering. He tried to attack me. He's obsessed. He's been harassing me for weeks, and when I confronted him, he pulled a knife." "Lies." My voice cracked like a whip. I raised my hands, USB still clenched between my fingers. "She's fabricating all of this. She's been blackmailing me, paying me to lie for her. That knife, she grabbed it herself." Mark finally snapped. "Stop." His voice cracked like thunder. "Just stop, both of you." The officers turned to him, sensing the conflict. "Sir, do you live here?" He nodded, face pale. "Yes, this is my wife. That's my best friend. And I don't know who the hell to believe anymore." One officer gestured to me. "Sir, put whatever's in your hand on the table." My stomach dropped. The USB drive. The only tangible proof I had. If I surrendered it, Elena would spin the narrative before I could explain. If I clutched it, I looked like a man hiding evidence. I looked at Mark, at the officers, at Elena's satisfied smirk. And then my phone buzzed in my pocket. A new text. From unknown. "Play the audio file. Now. Trust me." I didn't remember pulling my phone out. My thumb shook as I opened the message. An attachment waited. I hit play. Elena's voice filled the room. Clear, cold, unmistakable. "Yes, he'll cover for me. He's too loyal to Mark to ever tell the truth. And once the money hits his account, he's mine. By the time they realize, he'll look like the criminal, not me." The officers froze. Mark's eyes widened, rage and heartbreak colliding. And for the first time, Elena's mask didn't just slip. It shattered. Elena lunged for my phone, but the nearest officer blocked her, grabbing her wrist. The knife clattered to the floor, spinning across the tiles. "That's doctored," she screamed, her voice suddenly shrill, desperate. "He edited it, he's framing me." But the damage was done. Mark's face was ashen, his jaw trembling with rage. He pointed at her with a shaking hand. "All this time, you used me. You used him." Elena twisted in the officer's grip, eyes blazing. "Mark, don't you see? He's been against us from the start. He wants to tear us apart." Mark's voice cracked. "No, you did that." The officers cuffed her, ignoring her thrashing. Papers spilled from her apron pocket as she fought. Bank statements, names, the same kind of files I'd found in the storage unit. One page slid across the floor to Mark's feet. His name was on it, circled in red ink. He bent, picked it up, read, and his shoulders crumpled. "Asset. Controlled via proxy." Elena shrieked, voice feral, but the officers dragged her toward the door. For the first time, she looked small. Before they hauled her out, She twisted her neck to glare at me, eyes sharp as glass. "This isn't over," she hissed. "You have no idea who else is involved." Then the door slammed behind them, leaving silence heavy as stone. Mark dropped into a chair, the page still trembling in his hands. His eyes met mine, full of guilt and devastation. "How long did you know?" I swallowed hard. "Long enough to realize she wasn't just lying to you. She was setting me up too." Mark buried his face in his palms. "God, what did I marry?" And that's when I knew. Exposing Elena was only the beginning. Because whoever had sent me that recording wasn't finished yet. The house felt hollow after they dragged Elena away. Mark sat at the table like a statue, the broken phone and scattered papers around him like debris from an explosion. I stood there too long, the USB drive burning in my palm, until he finally spoke. "I don't know if I should thank you," he whispered, "or hate you." The words cut deeper than Elena's lies. "I never wanted this," I said. "I just wanted to protect you." Mark let out a broken laugh. "Protect me? By lying to my face? By covering for her when I asked you straight out?" His eyes were red, not just from anger, but from betrayal. "You were supposed to be my friend. My brother." I swallowed hard. He was right. My silence had bought Elena time to weave her web tighter. I'd been her shield. Before I could answer, my phone buzzed again. Same unknown number. "The files on that drive will expose more than Elena. Use them, and you'll learn who she was really working for." I didn't show Mark. Not yet. He was shattered enough without adding more shadows. Instead, I slipped the drive into my pocket. "You're not alone in this," I said softly. "I'll help you pick up the pieces." Mark looked at me like he wanted to believe. But doubt hung in his eyes, a wedge Elena had hammered deep. Later, as I left his house, the street was silent except for the hum of a parked car down the block. Its headlights were off, but I could feel the weight of someone watching. My phone buzzed once more. "Next step, meet me tomorrow. Old train station. Midnight." I froze on the sidewalk, heart pounding. Because if Elena was only the surface of this scheme, then the real puppeteer was still out there, watching me now. The old train station was a skeleton of steel and echoes. Roof panels gaped open to the night, and weeds cracked through the concrete like veins. Midnight air bit sharp against my lungs as I stepped inside, the USB clutched tight in my pocket. A single bulb glowed above the ticket counter, swaying slightly. Beneath it stood the man in the gray hoodie, the same one who'd left me the note about the storage unit. "You came," he said, voice low. I tightened my grip on the drive. "You sent the recording." He nodded. Elena wasn't acting alone. She was a piece, useful, disposable. The real operation runs deeper. I swallowed. "Who's pulling the strings?" He studied me, then tossed a folded folder onto the counter. It slid toward me, the papers inside shifting like whispers. "Open it." I did. Photos spilled out. Not just Elena, others. Different men and women, some faces I recognized from Mark's office parties, others strangers. All labeled the same way as the files in the storage unit. Assets. Controlled. Compromised. They build networks, the man said. Take people with influence, surround them with lies, money trails, leverage. When the moment's right, they fall, and someone else steps in. The back of my neck prickled. "Why me? Why Mark?" He hesitated. "Because Mark was never the target. You were." The words hit like a punch. Before I could speak, a click echoed through the hall. A red dot bloomed on the man's chest. He barely had time to gasp before the shot rang out, shattering the silence. He crumpled at my feet, blood spreading fast. The folder lay open beside him, pages soaking red. From the shadows, footsteps approached. And then a voice I knew too well slid out of the dark. "You should have listened when I told you," Elena hissed, her wrists still raw from broken cuffs. Somehow, she'd escaped. Elena stepped into the flickering light, hair wild, eyes burning with a feral gleam. The cuffs dangled from her wrists, one snapped clean through. She picked up the pistol from the ground where the shot had come from and leveled it at me. "You thought I was the villain?" she spat. "No, I'm just the messenger. And the message is simple. You were never supposed to survive this." The man in the hoodie groaned, blood pooling beneath him, his hand twitching toward mine. I grabbed the folder, clutching it to my chest. Elena's lip curled. "You really think those papers will save you? They're poison. Half true, half fiction. The moment you use them, you'll look like the architect of the whole scheme. Just like I warned you." My heart pounded. Behind me, The station's broken windows caught the glow of approaching headlights, sirens wailing faintly in the distance. Someone had heard the gunshot. Mark's voice flashed in my mind. Show me everything. Maybe this was the moment. Maybe the only way to end her game was to drag every secret into the open, no matter how it cut. I lifted the USB drive slowly, holding it between my fingers like a final card. You're wrong, Elena. This doesn't damn me, it damns you. And tonight, it goes public. Her smile cracked, fury flashing across her face. She raised the gun, finger tightening on the trigger. And then, in a blur, the man in the hoodie surged up, slamming into her. The gun fired, the shot ricocheting off steel. Both of them toppled, the weapon skidding across the floor. I dove, grabbed it, and aimed. Elena lay pinned beneath the man, her eyes still burning into me. Sirens grew louder, red and blue lights spilling through the windows. You think you've won? She hissed, her voice breaking. This goes higher than me. You'll never know who really pulls the strings. The cops burst in, weapons drawn, shouts filling the station. They ripped the gun from my hands, dragged Elena to her feet, and wrestled the folder from my grip. As they cuffed her again, this time with no chance of escape, she turned one last time, her smile bloody but unbroken. This isn't over. Not even close. I stood there, shaking, the USB still hidden in my fist. And I realized the truth. Elena might be finished, but the web behind her was only just beginning to show itself. The real betrayal hadn't even started.